Hey everybody, it's Mr. Hauser. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be doing a lesson in math on shapes. We are going to split shapes into equal parts. Last time we did that with halves. A half is when you split something into two equal parts. So that would be like if you and I shared something, we would want equal parts, so we split it in half. Today we're going to be doing quarters, which is the same as saying fourths. Okay, so quarter and fourths are the same. When I say quarter, you probably are thinking of those silver coins that equal 25 cents. Those actually use the word quarter in the same way, where because if you have 4 quarters, you know how much money you have? You have $1. So it's like taking $1 and splitting it into 4 equal parts. That's what a quarter is. And so we can do that with shapes too. It'd be like if you and me and 2 of our friends were all wanting a sandwich or something that we wanted to split into equal parts. And so we'll take a look at how we can make quarters or fourths out of these shapes, okay? Don't forget they have to be equal, okay? And so you should be able to see that they're equal if you give Mr. Hauser a little room for drawing the line not quite perfect, but certainly when it's really off, then you'll be able to tell me, okay? So let's take a look at the squares first. So we want to try and figure out a way to cut that into 4 equal pieces. Are you thinking of a way to do that already? Now, I'll do one that does not quite work. And this is one that, so if that's a square, what doesn't work would be making diagonal lines like this. Because here we have a small piece, a bigger piece, a really big piece, and then one that's not quite the same as the others either. So in that case, it doesn't quite work. Let me go ahead and erase that. And let's find some ways that do work. All right, so you might start off with thinking of a sandwich because that's very close to a square, and thinking of how we cut it into 4 equal parts. Might be able to cut it this way and this way in order to get 4 equal parts. All right, that means this and this and this and this are all the same. Now, is that because Mr. Hauser's drawing is not quite exact? Yes, they certainly could be the same if I took my time and stood up and wrote it the right way. But you can see that that's one way to divide it into 4 equal parts. Can you think of another one? Okay, let's go ahead and make triangles. Oof, I'm not even, what is that squiggly line? Okay, so you can see that there are 4 pieces here, 4 triangles this time. And more or less they're all the same, which makes them into quarters or fourths, okay? Are there any other ways? There are. One way could be to cut it like that. That way you get 4 long skinny pieces that are the same. You could have also drawn 3 lines that go up and down and make sort of tall columns, skinny columns, and that would also be another way to make it into fourths. You can see that those are the same, more or less, with a little room for human error. You can see that those are about the same. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our triangles. Can we turn that into, can we split that up into quarters? Well, if we were to try and do, I know we tried going across before and that didn't quite work because the top part's smaller than the bottom part, so let's go ahead. Split that once, and then draw, what do you think? That should be it, right? Now, that's sort of a little deceiving because what you might look at is those look similar, and that makes sense for that to be, but what if it was a really long, skinny triangle where 2 sides were the same instead of 3 sides, okay? If we were to draw a line down the middle, like that, and then if we were to split that in half, then you could see that this and this are clearly not the same. All right, and we would do the same over here. So that, even though it's not super obvious, this and this are not the same shape. They're not equal parts, so we can't do it that way. Can you think of any possible way? If these were all 3 the same size, can you think of a way that we could split up our triangle? It's a bit of a challenge. Perhaps you've seen it before. It starts like this. but it doesn't end there. That would be splitting into two unequal parts. And then we would do this. And it looks maybe like there's 3 triangles there, but in fact there are 4 because one of them is rotated around and looking the opposite way as the other. So here's 1, 2, 3, and then the one in the middle makes 4. So that's really, I think, the only way you can split up a triangle that's got 3 equal sides into 4 equal pieces, into quarters. All right? Let's go ahead to circles. Circles were pretty easy last time because there were really countless ways of splitting it into half. Well, if we look at the center point, we can do it really any other way too. All right? We could do it that way. We could make it like an X where this, and this are all the same. They're equal parts. Or this, and this are all equal parts, more or less. And so, yes, definitely a circle can be split into 4 equal parts or quarters quite easily. Let's take a look at our rectangles. Now, if we notice how we did it for squares, it should work similarly for the rectangles. So one that goes this way and one that goes that way gives us 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, nice. If we go diagonally from corner to corner, you can see that we have different shapes here. So we have this is the same as that, and this is the same as that, but are they all the same? I don't think so. So we can't really consider the diagonal one as one where we split it into 4 equal parts or quarters. Why do I have 2 other ones here? Well, there are 2 more ways that we can do it. Let's go ahead and first start with one that cuts down the middle, and you're like, wait, we already did that one right here. Okay, but instead of making a line that goes across, let's split each side into 2. Or into 2 parts. So here we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're all equal parts. Okay, so you can see that's another way to do it. Now, does that help you with the bottom one, the last rectangle? Well, if we went up and down, which are called vertical lines, we must be able to do side by side, which are called horizontal lines. They make different size shapes, or different shapes, but they become quarters. They become all equal. So I can split it in half that way, and then go ahead and split each one of those in half. And what that gives me is 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces that are all going horizontal, long and skinny. Okay? So let's take a look at some other less common shapes. Can I split this in half? Absolutely. I could go, corner to corner like this. And so each one kind of looks like a little boomerang. I could have also split it this way. Let's erase what's here and go this way. And so we have these chunks of pieces right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are all equal. So that gives me quarters, 4 equal parts. Here we have a star that's got 5 sides. Can we do it that way? Well, let's see. Go straight up and down this way. And then the problem is splitting up this shape into half. And then doing the same on this half, which is also half. By splitting those into half and half, then we make quarters. If I go across like that, you can see that this shape is not the same as this one, right? And so if those 2 aren't, then no, we can't do a 5-sided star in quarters. Can we do a horseshoe? Well, last time it was pretty easy to just draw a line like that and cut it into half. But if we go across, we can see that this one is not the same as this one, so no, we can't really do that one either. But what about this one? We use that one, not the bat symbol, but this one. It sort of looks like a puffy 8 or a snowman. Could we go and split that? And split that? And really what we have are 4 pieces that, if you allow for my poor execution or bad drawing of these shapes, they could actually be the same size, okay? And so what I meant to really say is, like, if this, there we go, that's a little more believable. Maybe it kind of looks like a butterfly, but each of these looks like kind of the letter D, and they're equal. So that could be divided into quarters or 4 equal parts. Mickey Mouse up here, we could split it into half. but if we go across, then one side has the ears and the other doesn't. So no, that doesn't quite work. All right, the V, we could, again, cut it in half, but as soon as we try and go across, no, we don't get those. What about the X? The X, more or less, is the same. In that case, yeah, we could do it two different ways. We could go this way and this way, similar to this shape where we have these sort of tall houses. Another way to do it would be to go from end to end. So if, instead of that way, we could have gone here and here, and each had like a bunch of 4 different L's that go together to make it. So each shape is each split up is an L. So those are equal sides or equal parts. So those are quarters. There are 4 of them. Bat symbol is pretty easy to cut in half, but not so easy after that, because you can see that it curves down in different ways than it does up there. So in this case, we could not, sorry Batman, we can't split you up into quarters. We can't split you into 4 equal parts, only halves. So many of them are sort of straightforward, you know, the either straight up and down and side by side, or the diagonals. In some cases, we can look creatively at horizontal lines or vertical lines. And even others, we can look very creatively at creating the same shape using shapes, splitting it up into 4 equal parts in a very unique way. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to split things into 4. Certainly the squares, the triangles, and the circles, and the rectangles, these shapes are really the ones you want to focus on. Fighting yourself against this to realize that that's not going to give you 4 equal parts. That's probably the challenge, the biggest challenge there. And so beyond that, I think, you know, as you can see, my Vanna White impression, that we're all pretty straightforward. So hopefully that helps you with splitting things into 4 equal parts, or quarters. If you think of the word for 4 in Spanish, it's cuatro, which is very similar to quarter. The QUA is similar to quadrilateral, so a shape that has 4 sides. So yeah, there's quite a few words that begin with QUA that mean 4 of something, okay? In this case, quarters mean splitting something into 4 equal parts. So you and me and our 2 friends can all have the same amount and be happy with spending the time together, okay? Not that we probably have the same group of friends, but I've been invited to quite a few 7-year-old birthday parties in my days. So not just in my younger days, probably more as an adult than as a kid. But oh, sad Mr. Hauser as a kid. But that's beside the point. Let's not ruin this video by freestyling. So I'm gonna stop it there, and we'll do one more following this video that divides it into yet another way. So hang tight in there. And hopefully you're learning more about shapes. So if you get a sandwich, ask, hey, can I tell you how to split it into equal parts? Or hey, can I show you how to split this this pizza into 4 equal parts, or you know, or quarters, if you will. So there's certainly chances for you to, you know, to do your own exploring with things that you might have available, whether it's Play-Doh or some food items, as long as it's okay, or just simply playing in sand, or other things that you might have that you could split into fourths. All right, so take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.